Well, I guess our sound clip is not moving, but that's okay. My name's Rick Farron. Let me just clear my throat here, folks. Sorry for that. But, anyways, thank you for coming in. We are on the Six Screens Telenetwork tonight. You're in JW World News, and that's the news the Watchtower doesn't want you talking about. Yeah, I think I got some allergic problems with the grass or something that's cut around here today, but stay in here with us. I'll get my voice clear. I'm sounding like Joe Biden the other night coming on that debate that he had, but it will clear, I'm sure, so don't go anywhere. And let's go back and see what is going on. I'm going to tell you we are coming to you from the apostate capital of the world. That's up here in Boston, Massachusetts. And like I always tell you, we got a lot of apostates up here, and there's going to be apostates coming to your neck of the woods as well. A lot of things are happening in the Watchtower. I know I say that every week, but I have to really tell you, this is a really big week for news, and we got some really big things to share with you. So stay here with us. But before we do that, I just wanted to say a few things. Now, we do have a protest coming up on the 20th of July. That's less than a month away. And everyone's welcome to come up here to the protest in Lowell, Massachusetts. If you want to put your boots on the ground and you want to shout out at the witnesses and let them know that they're in a cult, and whatever thoughts you have will come on up here and be with us at the protest. We're going to be in front of the Songus Center. It's in Lowell, Massachusetts. And we'd love to have you come and be with us. And you'll be able to be proud. You'll be able to get that adrenaline rush that we're always talking about. So if you can make it up here and be with us, by all means, come up to Boston and protest, and you will be a happy camper, let me tell you. Now, let me tell you a little bit about it. We have all the signs ready. We got some new signs ready. We will be in front of the Songus Center. The witnesses have to go right by us. They will see us, and hopefully we'll get their attention. We did it last year, and it was wonderful. The witnesses were giving us thumbs up. There was a lot of PMOs. So we're going to live stream it. It'll be live streamed, and you'll be able to see it right on these Facebook pages, as well as on our Six Screens Telenetwork YouTube channel. So we are all going to let the witnesses know that they are in a situation that is not going back to normal. It probably never was normal, but they are in deep doo-doo right now, and many witnesses are acknowledging it. Okay, I'm just going to show you. Okay, I'm going to talk about a couple other things before we move on to the news. I want to talk about our convention still alive in 2025. Well over 200 people have signed up. They're coming up. We still have the tickets. Don't worry, I tell you every week, but you'll have them soon. Just working out a couple snafus, but the numbering. But all you people have written me, I have your number, but you must do this. You must write me at JW World News, which most people did. Some people wrote me through the website, our Six Screens website, but I can't see that all the time. Sometimes I don't get the messages. And some people wrote on YouTube comments that are coming. You have to write me at JW World News at gmail.com. The tickets are free, and it's going to be a 3-day convention. On Friday, we're going to have a meet and greet, and we'll have all the people have an opportunity that want to speak up and let us know. We'll give them some time to let us know where they're from, why they came, how they got out of the Watchtower. So we're going to have a lot of people. Like I say, we already have over 200. So that'll take up a good part of the day on Friday, a meet and greet. We'll also have some talks in the afternoon if we get through all of the people who want to speak up. But that comes first. So I want to hear from everybody that comes to the convention. And then Friday night, we'll have some talks as well. And then Saturday, we'll have some special speakers that we got coming in. I'm trying to arrange that now. Some of you high-profile apostates are going to try to be here. We're working on a list. I'll let you know what that list is going to be very shortly. And it's a lot putting things together here, but I'm really working hard to make this happen and make this the biggest event ever in the history of the ex-Jehovah's Witness world. And then, of course, on Saturday night, what we're going to do, we're going to have YouTube awards. the first of its kind. I've got some people assigned to watching YouTubes and monitoring them and looking at all the new YouTubers that are coming out exposing the Watchtower. And we're watching you all closely. We're going to be giving awards away on Saturday night for some of the more potent YouTube videos that are really making a difference, getting witnesses out. So that'll be YouTube night. I will spend a couple of hours on that, giving out awards that people have made a difference in exposing the Watchtower. And then Sunday, we'll also discuss many things. We'll have some authors who have written books about the Watchtower. They'll be with us Sunday, and they'll be speaking up and talking about what they feel about the Watchtower. So that's our convention. So it's over a year away, but make plans now. Make plans now. Start saving up. The tickets are free, and the room is going to cost, I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be about $180 a night. But that includes a full breakfast, and that's for two people. A full breakfast. I don't mean a Danish muffin and a can of Coke. I mean a full breakfast, sit-down breakfast. So I'm looking forward to it. So the room's about 180. So plan on that. And we'll try to get you from the airport out to the convention area here up where I live at the Hilton Hotel. That's where the venue is going to be. And there is walking distance. You don't have to eat at the hotel because their prices are expensive. But there's a walking distance to a Cracker Barrel, a McDonald's, a Wendy's, a Circle K, Dunkin' Donuts. So there's plenty of food, plenty of area to have lunch and not have to spend a fortune at the hotel. So, okay, so that's a convention. Now, the other thing I wanted to do, I'm just going to switch my camera over right now, and I'm going to show you a couple of things here that I think you will be very fascinated with. Let me just change my camera settings here. All right, what you're looking at right there, these are books. Now, I have got a number of reproduced books, verbatim, Watchtower publications and others that our good friend Jim Hill, you know him as Nathan Natus on JW discussion board. Now, we're going to have during the program, we have a duck that we have. You can see him up above me when I come back to myself here when you see me on the screen. There's a duck, and it's a kind of a takeoff on the Groucho Marx program. Remember, the duck used to come down, and Groucho would give them $100 if they said the secret word. Well, we're going to give you a free book. If you say the secret word tonight, we have some secret words in a sealed envelope that hopefully if you say it, we will mail you out a book. We've already mailed out about 30 books. So, you might be slow in getting it. Some are mailed off this week. So those that have written me, it's coming. It takes a little while to get this all together, get it off, and mail it off. So just be patient. You'll be getting them. So if you say the secret word tonight, you win one of these books. And I'm just going to show you, how about the Millions Now Living book? That is an exact replica, verbatim, the Millions Now Living book that was out by Rutherford. Then we have another book here that you'll like. It's a brand new one that was also by Rutherford. It's called Our Lord's Return. That's a Rutherford book. A Home and Happiness by Rutherford as well. These are Watchtower publications that you might have not even known about, but you can get them in Captives of a Concept. Oh my goodness. That is a great book to get people out of the organization. And I think you'll find that book very good. Don Cameron. In fact, that's the book that really helped my wife, Susan, get out of the organization. So I just wanted to bring that to your attention. So let me go back to my other camera now. So we get back to normal and get us back on this. All right, here I'm back again. Now, I just want to mention The Desolation of the Sanctuary. That's another book that you saw that you can win. So people have been saying, well, what is it? What is The Desolation of the Sanctuary? Well, this is a reprint of the 1928 to 1930 critique by two Bible students in Germany of Judge Rutherford and the direction in which he had led the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society after the death of Pastor Russell. Now, many of these observances are still valid today in the Watchtower. They're still teaching this. So that's a great book, Desolation of the Sanctuary. So I wanted to bring all up And now we can kind of go back and let me make sure I get out of this here settings. All right, there we are. And back to where we should be. Now we can get on with the news. And well, I said there's a lot of things that are happening, and I want you guys to be aware of it. I believe this week was one of the biggest weeks for the news, and at least since I've been doing the news. I know I say that a lot, but there's so much happening. I can't even believe it all. But let's just start to talk about a few things. I'm going to get into some of the meat. Amazing news concerning Watchtower donations at the conventions. Reports are coming into the 6 screens that the conventions are really not bringing the money in. Now, this is a big fundraiser, as we all know, for the Jehovah's Witnesses, and the 2024 Declare the Good News conventions have started. But I got information that came to me from a PMO who was still a witness, and they asked him if he would sit by one of the contribution boxes. Now, we all remember the contribution boxes, right? Big cardboard boxes that they would bring out. The women would come out, the elder would lead them out and place them at the exit doors going out of the convention, and then they'd be there with the contribution box, and people would put money in. You put money in, I put money in. Everyone used to put money in, but not anymore. Things are changing in the contribution areas. As a matter of fact, there's one person that gave me the information. He was telling me that what happens is no one's contributing. Now, the convention he went to had 5,000 people. Now, how many people do you think put money in? He's sitting next to the box so we can see all the people. They announced 5,000 people at the convention. How many people put money in the box? Well, I'm going to tell you, you're going to be surprised. Only 2 people that came by that contribution box put money in. So we're starting to see that there's a lot happening behind the scenes. Well, why aren't people putting money in? Now, I thought, they can donate on jw.org, but, not everybody does that. Everybody's not really comfortable with doing that. But to actually go to this convention and walk by a contribution box and not put any money in. I mean, I've never seen it. Those contribution boxes, I'm going to tell you, sometimes they were filled. The conventions have always been a great fundraiser for the Watchtower organization. And this one particular brother, he actually sat next to the contribution box for 3 good hours. And out of the 500 people that were present, only 2 people came by and put money in his contribution box. So, I mean, it's something to think about. I mean, you put a lot of legs on that, right? To me, it's meaningful. Well, why aren't people contributing? Well, maybe you wouldn't contribute today either. Maybe you have seen all of the scandals and all of the deceit and the distrust that the Watchtower has put in the minds of many. So you probably wouldn't put any money in either. So how many PMOs are at the convention? That shows me a lot must be there. So, I mean, but then I got thinking, friends, everything has become very, very expensive. I don't have to tell you, right? The average person, the rent is now ridiculous. I mean, it's gone up exponentially. Food has gone up sometimes 50% over the last few years. A lot of people are just lucky enough to have scraped up enough cash just to get to the convention. I mean, most Jehovah's Witnesses, as we all know, they're not wealthy people. They don't have a lot of money. They don't have good jobs. They have menial jobs. They don't make the big money professional people make. And, the Watchtower, they've got to be seeing this. Their contributions have got to be drying up. And the old business model of scamming money out of the Jehovah's Witnesses at conventions and assemblies, it isn't working anymore. Friends, we are having a deficit. We thank you in advance. Well, I tell you, it's not working anymore. They're not getting the witnesses to dig into their pockets and put money in the contribution boxes. Watchtower the Watchtower Bible and Tract Society, they have got to figure out a new way of making a new scam. They have to come up with a new scam. And trust me, they'll do it very quickly. Once they see people aren't giving at the conventions, they'll come up with a new scam very, very quickly. There's no question about that. So I think it's amazing. I think it's amazing that we see so many people that are leaving the Watchtower. And we say every week the Watchtower is hemorrhaging. They're on life support. Everybody knows it. There's not too many things they can do to gain more recruits. They're doing everything they can. They're trying to reach people through videos. They're trying to reach people through the carts. They're even going door to door still. It's not working. And, a lot of things people are figuring out. A lot of people are figuring out how deceitful the Watchtower is. And the Watchtower, there's an article that I was looking at on jw.org. It's how to have more joy in the ministry. Now, they're telling Jehovah's Witnesses how to have more joy in the ministry. And in that article, I saw some weasel words and phrases. Well, do you know what a weasel word is? Well, I'm going to give you an example. These are expressions that are often vague, unspecific, and they rely on broad generalization that can make a statement seem more credible or significant, even without providing concrete details. And I'll give you some words that the Watchtower uses. Friends, people are figuring this out. That's why these seats are empty. I'm going to show you some empty seats tonight when we get into our news about the convention. You're going to be shocked. Talk about empty seats. Wait till you see them. But people are figuring out the Watchtower. They're realizing how deceitful, how corrupt they are. They're realizing that these weasel words are being used. Now, what are some of the weasel words that are used in the Watchtower? Well, let me give you an example. Now this is some articles. This is how the Watchtower writes. That this is kind of like saying this is how you'd read a sentence in the Watchtower. Some may be very shy and lack confidence. Some feel uncomfortable going to people's homes uninvited. All right, so there's a weasel word there. The word is some. They start the sentence off with some. So they say some may be very shy and lack confidence, talking about some Jehovah's Witnesses, but they don't list names. Wouldn't it be better and more credible if they said, Sister Smith from Little Rock, Arkansas, doesn't feel confident. Sister Smith would like more help. No, but they'll just throw these weasel words out. They'll use other words too. Another word that they always use a lot, they'll say, many publishers really enjoy the preaching work, but others struggle to find pleasure in it. Now, what would be the weasel word in that sentence? Well, it would be many. Many publishers really enjoy the preaching work. That's kind of a generalization, right? Wouldn't it be better if they said circuit overseers, Brother John Smith, or John, whatever his name would be, White? They love going out in service and they enjoy the preaching work, but they'll just use a weasel word, many. So don't you think many Jehovah's Witnesses who have their antenna up are picking up on the deceit? I mean, that's just one thing. It's just one thing, weasel words in the Watchtower. But I have to tell you, I've been doing this news now going on 20 years. And there's something I see here very, very, I always get excited. I always get excited when I see countries coming down on the Watchtower. Didn't you get excited when we read about Norway and how they're really fed up with the Jehovah's Witnesses, even to the point that they cut millions of dollars off that they were getting through the government because they shun people? And weren't we happy to hear about Belgium, France, Japan, Slovakia, and so many other countries, United Kingdom, all of these countries, Finland, Norway, all of these countries that are now showing their disgust with the Watchtower and exposing the Watchtower. Friends, I've said it here a number of times on the 6 screens, to be able to have allies. I love the allies we have, We have so many people now doing YouTube videos. They're writing blogs. They're posting on some of these forums. We have allies. We're all working together. You take a couple. You take Fixing My Faith. Our good friend Byrne. Look at the great job he's doing. And take a look at Mike and Kim, and they do a good job too. And they're exposing the Watchtower. So all of these people together, all of us combined together, making a difference and getting people to come to grips with what the Watchtower really, really is. But Switzerland is joining the ranks of investigating the Jehovah's Witnesses just in June 24. Well, that was just a few days ago, right? Switzerland is starting to get a mouthful from former Jehovah's Witnesses that have been in touch with the government of Switzerland, and they are telling the government how they experience violence after leaving the group, and how they lose close friends and relatives, and how they have actually came into poor health because of all of the shunning. So, friends, we have governments. And I'll just read you a couple of things here concerning this survey. It was long, but a couple of things I extracted you might find interesting. This article was written it's a journal in Switzerland, and it deals with mental health issues. And the mental health issues that Switzerland wrote about here has to do with what the witnesses experienced when they left the Jehovah's Witness organization. Now, a survey was done on a number of Jehovah's Witnesses to give you an idea. 424. Hold on one second. Let me just what happened. Something happened to my computer. It was done, but men and women were involved in the survey. There were more women. 65% were female. The other percentage, 42.4%, 0.14%, were male. So these are all witnesses that came forward. They participated in the survey on mental health after leaving the Watchtower. Now, most participants, 66%, were born into this community. They were born in Jehovah's Witnesses. Half of the people left voluntarily. 21% were expelled, and 31% left due to having experienced abuse and mistreatment or maltreatment. Maybe you left because you experienced abuse or maltreatment. And so 1/3, now this is really what got my attention reading through this report from Switzerland. 1/3 of Jehovah's Witnesses reported thoughts about suicide. 1/3 of those who have left the Jehovah's Witness organization reported suicidal thoughts. That's a lot of people. 10% had attempted suicide. So 10%, according to this Switzerland report, 10% of Jehovah's Witnesses that have left have attempted suicide. Isn't that a remarkable number? It really was an excellent report, but I'm not going to go into it. There's a lot more I could discuss. But it shows all the maltreatment and the abuse and the child molestation. We could go on all night with this report. It was about 10 pages long, but we're not going to do that. But you get the gist of it. Switzerland has had enough. Like many other countries, they've had enough of what's going on behind the curtains. All right, let me just take a little sip of iced tea here. It's just flabbergasting me. Some of the stuff we read about, I study this week in, week out. I'm watching it every week for the biggest stories coming across the net. Okay, so let's take a look here. Convention and assembly attendance for 2024. Well, Friday, I'm not going to give you a whole rundown on the convention, but anyways, what it is on Friday, they once again focus in on not pursuing a higher education. The Watchtower does not want you educated. Now, what is wrong with going to school for 4 years and learning so that you can get a good job, and a job that will sustain you and your family? What would be wrong with that? Investing your time to get a good job As a matter of fact, even what really is amazing to me, I think the witnesses would encourage higher education. People would make more money. They would have more time to go in the ministry. They'd have more money to give to the Watchtower. So why are the Jehovah's Witnesses so afraid of getting their rank and file members well educated? Well, they'll say, yeah, well, people have bad experiences. There's a bad influence at colleges and universities. Friends, there's bad influence everywhere. For goodness sakes, even the shop that I have, where I have my sign shop, there's people that hang around there that they're a bad influence. Many of them use drugs. So, I mean, you're not just going to have bad influence at a university or college. Friends, there's bad influence everywhere. There's bad influence even in the Kingdom Hall. So talk about bad influence. Everyone listening to this program, they know darn well there's bad influence everywhere. So this idea of don't go to college because there's such bad influence. Well, let me tell you this. What colleges and universities do is they teach people how to think critically. The Watchtower does not want you thinking critically. It is torture. And you guys know it. It's torture sitting through their conventions. And, how do you even stay awake? Did you fall asleep at some of these hot conventions? I certainly tried to. I couldn't do it sometimes because the kids, I had to keep an eye on them. But I'll tell you what, as an older person, if I went to the conventions today, I'd take every advantage of falling asleep. I mean, and then how can you put up with the fake personalities? Everyone seems like a zombie with a smile. That's what it seems like at a convention. When I look back on it, I think about it. Everyone seems like a zombie with a smile. The talks and the videos, they're all like Swiss cheese. All like Swiss cheese. They all are full of holes. They're unreasonable, illogical, full of fallacies. So think about that. I am so glad, and I say it all the time, I'm so glad that Satan kicked me out of his organization. It just amazes me that the Watchtower in this day and age can continue to harp upon people just having meager jobs, wait for Armageddon. They're killing people. They're hurting people. There's a lot of people listening to this program tonight that have been financially hurt by this dumbbell organization. It is terrible. That's my thoughts on that. Well, let's move on. But before we do, we're gonna talk about some of the reports on attendance, and then we're gonna get after this story. We're gonna go to the biggest story of the week. Okay, Chewy, what do you have to say?
Oh, I didn't know I was unmuted. I'm sorry. I'll wait till you get done.
All right, good. Well, we'll get to. I know what you want to speak about, and we'll get to it. So stay with us there, Chewy. Anyways, let's just talk about some of the attendance. I'm going to show you a picture. Let me get into my computer here. I'm going to show you a picture, and I think you're going to find this picture quite interesting. It's a picture of a convention. It's a picture of a convention in Ohio, and I know that it's going to really be startling, shocking to you when you see it. Here's the picture right here. That is the Ohio convention. Now, many people probably listening to this program have been to that. It's the Nutting, they call it the Nutting Center. A great name for a witness convention, the Nutting Center. It's in Ohio. And take a look at those empty seats. Friends, so, some people are saying, well, Rick, it's unfair to show that picture because, it might have been during lunch break. No. That was not during lunch break. Take a look at the screen. That was right in the middle of the drama. That was at 10 o'clock in the morning, 10 a.m., right in the middle of the drama. And this was Friday. The drama is the biggest event. When there's a drama, people go out of their way to get to the convention to see it. Not this time, Ram. Take a look at that. Can you imagine that? Did conventions look like that when you went to conventions? Let me show you what conventions used to look like. Take a look at this. That's Yankee Stadium. That's a convention. That would be a regional convention as we know it today in Yankee Stadium. Yeah, that was in 1958. There were 258,000 people, not just at Yankee Stadium, but also at the Polo Grounds. Those two stadiums were packed. 200, I think it was 258,000 people. I believe that was the number. Now, also take a look at this picture. This is how conventions used to look. Look at this. Oh my goodness, that's Yankee Stadium right there. Look at that, is packed. You could not find a seat if you had to find one. So it's not like it used to be. It's and I'm going to tell you, it's actually a pleasure to see all of the activism, all of you folks out there that are doing YouTube videos, all of you folks that are commenting on Facebook group pages, all of you folks that are blogging and websites, and all of you folks that are doing everything you can to expose the Watchtower. Thank you. Thank you very much, because it's working. It is a pleasure to see all of this activism working as it's intended to do, to help people get out of the Watchtower. Well, let's go back. I'm going to show you that picture again in Ohio. Let's go back to that. So here we have the picture in Ohio. That is the 2024 convention. Just happened a couple of weeks back. Now, that is a sad picture. That's a sad picture. Now, I'm not sad. I am not sad because I'm sad because the Watchtower is not getting people. I'm sad because there are so few people there. Now, what that means to me is there's still people that believe in this baloney. There's still people that are actually still going to the conventions, and they're listening to stupid message from this cult, despite all the bad things they know about the cult. They're still going. That's what I'm sad of. That place should be empty. Then that's what our job is. Our job is to get it empty. So I just wanted to show you that. I got more pictures to show. I even got a video to show you. So some of these pictures are coming into the 6 screens, and I think you'll find them very, very fascinating. All right. Let's move on. Let's show another picture. I'm going to show you another picture. This is at the arena, the Hertz Arena in Estero, Florida. I lived in Florida. I never heard of Estero, but Estero, Florida. This is the Declare the Good News Convention. Let me show you that. Here's the picture right here, and you can see what you think. Now that again, that is not a packed arena. Now, granted, behind the screens there's no people, and obviously there shouldn't be, because you couldn't see. Well, you could see because they have screens on top, but that whole area is rocked off. Years ago, that would have been filled. But you can even see empty seats as you look around. Take a look across the stadium, and you'll see a lot of empty seats. So that's down in Florida. And from what I understand, even the people that went to the convention, they're writing that it's not like it used to be. It's really not. So now what I want to do is I want to share my screen. I want to show you a video. The person did not want to say where it was from, but I do have a video that I want to share. Let me share my screen here with you. This is what I have to do that. And I want you to take a look at this convention on video, and I want you to see what you think. So let's play. They're singing this song. Now, this is the last song of the convention, and the Jehovah's Witnesses are singing the last and final song. Friends, you take a look. The stadium is empty. Wherever this is, I'm not sure where it is, but it's in English somewhere. It's an English-speaking convention, but I just don't know where it is from. Maybe someone out there will know. So let's play it right now. Let's share it. Let's share. All right. We do have it shared. I'm going to make it big screen so you can see it. When God's Son writing back for those who mourn a Savior. Well, look at that. It's empty. mean, there's not that many people there. There's a lot of empty seats. You can see them. My goodness. Well, I mean, is that what your conventions look like? Did your conventions look like that? I don't think so. They were packed. Now there's video. We're showing you pictures. We're showing you video. Friends, these are not lying pictures. They weren't Photoshop. The Watchtower is telling you, oh my goodness, we're growing like leaps and bounds. Are they really? Friends, as Mark is saying on here, it's a dying cult. It's a dying cult. I was just curious, for those listening on YouTube, could you hear the song in the background? Could you hear the song in the background? I'm not sure because I'm trying to work with different computers here. You might not have heard the song, but on our radio network and other networks we're on, you probably could. But I'm just trying to play with the sounds flat and then okay, poor, okay. Yeah, you could hear it. Okay, well, thank you guys for letting me know. Sometimes I don't know. I'm here at the studio. And I don't know. All I can do is look out the window. I don't see anybody. I know you're on here with me. Sometimes I'm not sure what's happening, but thank you. Thank you for letting me know that. So there we have, but we're not done yet. We're not done yet. I got more to share. Friends, this is a disaster. What do you think, Chewy?
Well, I was going to give a comment on the thing that you were going to talk about after this, but you're doing this, so I'm going to kind of combine it, and I'm just going to.
Yeah, don't talk about the big elephant in the room yet. I want you to comment.
Okay.
I want you comment on that when we get there. Okay, so you hold on to that because that's our next story, and I kind of saved it for near the left.
Let me talk about the attendance. Okay.
Oh, okay. Yep.
Okay. Now this confirms what I was going to talk about to begin with before the other announcement. Okay? Anyway, you kind of said the same thing about a month ago. You had when these conventions first started. You said there was one is about 500%. There was about 50%. I talked with the guy. I talked with you about a week later on that, and I said I like that number. I like that number. And this is boots on the ground. Okay, this guy this is pre-COVID numbers I'm talking to him about. He is ex-Bethelite, just like I am. I ain't talked with him in 2 to 3 years. I got in contact with him. He doesn't know anything about my position, and here's what he said. He said, it seems like to me that half are coming to the meetings and half are either on Zoom or they just don't care. Now, when I had a time to think about that for a little bit, and I thought, so my question is how many of those going to the Kingdom Hall are actually believing it? And I think now that Rick's talking about this convention, I think we might be having an indication as to actually what's going on. I mean, the information he's giving me just blowing me away. I thought it was 50%. Now he's dropping down even more. The enthusiasm has went down. My wife, this is the first time, literally today, this is the first time that I've seen her go out in a formal way out in service in about 2 months. In a formal way, dressing up, preparing a little bit, first time in 2 months. 60% on the meetings, 70% on the meetings, and then now I hear this from Rick. I'm really excited. I'm really excited about this, and this ain't even the big news. Thank you.
Oh, thank you, Chewy. Now you stay with us coming soon here again when we have the other story coming up. But I wanted to mention some of the folks who have been giving me information here coming into the 6 screens. I'm showing you pictures, and I want to thank people for the pictures that I've got. But I also want to thank the people for some of the comments they told me about this 2024 convention. And, they're seeing 30 and 40% less people, as Chewy was just saying. In fact, some people might even be seeing 50% less. As a matter of fact, I got information from Western Canada out in Alberta, and they're having, actually, it's in Saskatchewan. It's in Saskatchewan. Well, that is a city in Canada, and it's called Medicine Hat. That's the name of the city. It's a funny name for a city. It's called Medicine Hat. And they were saying that they were going to have a big attendance this year. They're looking forward to that attendance. So they had 3,500 people in Western Canada. But you might say, well, gee, Rick, that's not bad for Western Canada. There's not many people up there. But now let's talk about it. Calgary, Southern Alberta, Western Saskatchewan, and the eastern part of British Columbia. That's the most they could come up with. That's a pretty huge territory. It's hundreds of miles, and that's the best they can do is 3,500 people. It's awful. Those numbers are awful. And the Watchtower, they can continually say to us, "Oh, Rick, oh, everybody." I mean, they're not talking to me personally, but they're talking to me through their Facebook forums, what have you, that we're growing. Our witness world is just increasing. It's not. Now, Chewy mentioned, and I'll mention it too. It's hard to extract intelligence. And that's why sometimes I say we here at the Six Screens, and even you as an ex-witness, you have to kind of be like the CIA. We have to look for little clues. We got to look for intelligentsia coming forward. And this is intelligentsia coming forward to me when I see empty seats. I can put some long legs on that. That is not the sign of a growing organization, is it? Now, come on, get real. It's not. What do you think the witnesses are feeling? Those are loyal witnesses, and they go and they see these empty seats. I was looking in that video that I just played, and it showed, I don't know where that was. It was an English-speaking convention. It was empty, really. And I saw the look on a woman that was singing. We used to all sing together, and every seat was filled, and it echoed Jehovah's music to the whole stadium. It sounds terrible these days. It really, really does. The people weren't in sync. Nothing was happening there. People were discouraged, I could tell. So anyways, I'm getting reports, as I said, coming into the Six Screens. I got information from a woman. And she actually still is kind of like in the organization. She's even more than a PMO. She's still almost like a PME. But the information that I heard through the grapevine, her husband let me know it. And he said that his wife went to the convention and there was 3,000 in attendance. In the past years that she went to the same convention arena, there was 6,000 to 7,000. So that's like a 50% drop off. She also commented to her husband, the husband's a PMO, she's a PME, but she said to her husband that the convention was super boring. Yeah, super boring. So this is the type of, geez, I mean, it's not good for the Watchtower. If you were a governing body member, you'd start heading for the mountains. So I'm thinking too that what's happened this year, and we saw it starting to happen last year, is the Watchtower was switching. Well, they weren't spending a lot of money in big sports arenas. Instead, they would have multiple assemblies in assembly halls. And why do you think that is? See, that's another little bit of intelligentsia. They can't fill the stadiums they used to. Veterans Stadium in Philadelphia, packed. I went there in the 80s and 90s. Yankee Stadium in the 60s and 50s, packed. All of these big conventions. As a matter of fact, I'm going to show you one right now, for example. This is the Long Beach Convention. This always was a big convention center. I'm going to show you the attendance. Take a look at the attendance. Take a look at the seats. This is the Long Beach Convention. I think it was last week. Take a look right now. Here it is. Take a look there. Now, does that look like? Now, that was always packed. If you went to that Long Beach, California convention, you would have a hard time finding a seat a few years back. But there you go. Look at that. That's empty. How would you feel? What's going through your mind if you're one of Jehovah's Witnesses and seeing that? That is just terrible. And I'm going to give you another view of it. I got another picture as well. I want to thank those for getting me these pictures. There's another picture. That's the Long Beach, California Convention Center. There it is. Look at the empty seats. That is embarrassing. That is embarrassing. See, the Watchtower, they're still thinking maybe we can fill these seats. Not so fast, Watchtower. Not so fast. It's not happening. Now let me show you something. I want to know. This is in England. Okay, I showed you stuff in the United States. Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? I'm going to show you Brighton, England, the 2024 convention. Take a look at this. That is it. That is a convention. That is a convention of Jehovah's Witnesses. Come on, let's get real. How can you have that many empty seats and feel like Jehovah's organization is growing? This is a disaster. This is not anything that would suggest growth. If anything, if I was a witness, I'd be discouraged. I'd say, why even come? Something must be going on. Where are all the people? Why do the people leave? Wouldn't you say that too? I think most people would. So, we have all these pictures. Something's going on behind the curtains of the Watchtower. They're not going to tell us that. The Watchtower is not going to share anything. But, and you know what they're spinning? And get a load of this. There's a PIMO. I get information from a man, and he said this is what his PIMO mother states about, not having a lot of people at the conventions. They're going to spin everything. They're going to make things always in their favor. But the PIMO mother, Jehovah's Witness mother, she says that, well, there's not that many people going to the conventions, but the Watchtower is so loving and so kind that they're spreading the conventions out so that they aren't overcrowded and we can enjoy them. I mean, there's always something, right? There's always, they can take, I'll tell you, the old saying, I mean, I hate the saying, you take a lemon and make lemonade out of it. Well, that's what the Watchtower is doing. That is what the Watchtower is doing. So anyways, it's just absolutely nutty what's going on behind the curtains. All right. I think that's enough of the conventions. We know they're tanking. We know that. Let's take a look if I see any more information here that I can share with you. There's a lot still here. And it's showing that all the conventions, all the stuff. Do you want to say something? Go ahead. Is that, what's up, Mark?
Oh, hi, Rick. I'm sorry to interrupt you. But no, go ahead and continue. I can come back in a few minutes or when you're done. No problem. But yeah, keep going. You're doing good.
All right. Well, we're just talking about conventions. We're talking about, roped off areas. I had a whole lot on this. I don't know if I want to continue with it. I mean, I think you guys get the point. But what do you think, Mark? Could you stand going to conventions or what?
Absolutely, positively not, Rick. I hated conventions. I hated them in every way, 100% as well as 500%. I never wanted to go to them. I had no interest. They were boring. They were way, way too long. And truthfully, they were a major waste of time, a major waste of energy, a major waste of life, and a major waste of everything. I had no interest in any assembly conventions at all, ever. Not even the circuit or the district, none of them. When the assembly convention was coming up, I did not look forward to it. And I was really angry, pissed off, depressed, frustrated. And I was complaining quite a lot that I wanted nothing to do with it. And I didn't want to go at all, and my mother would get very angry with that when I would do that. But I didn't want to go. I made it very clear to her I didn't want to go. I didn't want to waste any time. I didn't want to waste my summer. You're going to waste my summer like this. That's not fair. No, I don't want to go. And she would get very, very angry and get really, really strict with me and really, really, and put a lot of pressure on me. She would get really, really hard on me. And it was no good, but that's the way Jehovah's Witnesses are, because they're very, very controlling. Now she's going to the convention right now this weekend. It's usually 7 hours. about a 7.5 hour convention, which is way too damn long. And yeah, truthfully, Rick, they are a major waste of time because it's the same damn thing over and over again every single year. It really is. It's just the same thing over and over and over again where you're bored out of your freaking mind. And when I would go to them when I was younger, I would get tired. I would get bored. I would, not really listen. I would not really listen really at all. I would even start to fall asleep. And every time I did, my mother would get on me about that and start harassing me. And she would like either hit me or elbow me or, slap me or something, because she wasn't going to allow me, if I'm going to mine's going to wander off and not listen, or I'm going to fall asleep, in the convention. No. She was really very abusive about it. So, conventions are bottom line, Rick, a total 100% joke. And, I hope that makes a lot of good sense to you and everyone else.
Well, it does. No doubt. I'm sure there's a lot of people that can voice your thoughts about it, Mark. Well, thank you very much, Mark. Thank you for coming in and sharing that with us. I appreciate it. Thank you, Mark.
No problem, Rick. No problem, Rick. I mean, I'm just being very honest, very truthful with you, Rick, and I hope a lot of everyone else has the same exact opinion.
I believe they all do. I really, really do. Thank you, Mark. All right, let's go to
Very good, Rick. Thank you.
Yeah, let's go to 248. You're on with us. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes, I just wanted to say that while you were attending the Yankee Stadium in 1969, I was in Chicago at White Sox Park. Now, people complaining about 7 hours of convention. Back in those days, it was 8 days of convention, and it lasted 12 hours from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. And that convention was packed. That ballpark was packed in those days. And what I think is that the younger Jehovah's Witnesses who were around in the 1960s and 1970s don't understand how long it was in our day. That convention lasted 8 days, 12 hours, not 7 hours. Also, the thing is, too, is that you got to consider in the 1960s, church attendance was high. People went to church back in the 1960s on a regular basis. Church attendance is not the same as it was back in the 1960s and 70s. So there's been a change, not just with Jehovah's Witnesses, but also going to church in Christianity has changed as well. But I think that those who are in our age group are still witnesses. I don't understand why they can't understand that we used to go to ballparks. Now they're in arenas. So that should tell them something, that this organization has changed and not growing.
I'm with you. It's a different organization.
And the ones who are young now and went to the conventions in the 90s or the 2000s, they don't understand how long it was back in our day. In the 1960s, it was an 8-day convention, 12 hours. So it's a big, big difference. So it's not normal in our day to have a convention in an arena. We went to ballparks, as you mentioned.
Yeah, there is no way. I mean, in today's day and age, the money alone, the money alone would be astronomical. I mean, if you went to a convention in New York today, the hotels, the average price of a hotel room in New York City is going to be $350. Who can afford that for 8 days? Geez, plus the food. Oh my goodness. Then getting back and forth to the stadium. Wow.
Yeah, well, then also, too, you got to consider, too, the food was cheaper back then. The economy was better. And so it wasn't as bad in 1969. We stayed at the Blue Cadillac Sheraton Hotel in Chicago. And we got that special rate that the organization, of course, they have a special rate for witnesses. And I'm sure you got a special rate in New York City. So it wasn't that bad in 1969. You understand the economy was much, much better in 68 and 69 than it was today.
Well, I was just, at the time, I was only 20 years old. And I'm thinking, I don't even remember where I got the money. I wasn't making a lot of money. I was making $120 a week back then. And yet, but I do remember what the hotel was. It was a Watchtower sanctioned hotel, and I still remember to this day that hotel was $27 a night. That same hotel, I don't even know if it's there in New York anymore, but that Holiday Inn today, that'd be $350. Unbelievable.
And plus also the day would be a dump. Well, you understand, society was a much better society than we grew up in, and these young people grew up in. We grew up in a much better society than they did. And things were neat. People were clean cut. Everybody was clean cut at convention. They were clean shaven. The women wore nice dresses, summer dresses. It was a much better society that you and I grew up in, but these young people are growing up in today.
Well, even if there was a convention in New York and I was a Jehovah's Witness and they wanted me to go there and stay and get on a subway and go back and forth to my hotel room, I'd be afraid I'd get mugged. I wouldn't go. I wouldn't bring my wife. I wouldn't bring my kids. No way today. The same thing in Chicago. It's even worse in Chicago. It's even worse,
Exactly. But in 1969, you could do that. You can get in a subway with no problem. People didn't bother you back then. It was a whole different society back then.
Well, unbelievable. Well, thank you. Always good to hear from you. Thank you very much for coming on, being with us tonight. I appreciate it. Thank you. Well, good. Thank you. Well, I wanted to talk about the big elephant in the room. This is by far the biggest story in a long time to come down the pike for Jehovah's Witnesses and for ex-Jehovah's Witnesses. I am talking about the Watchtower, August 2024. We have been saying that, where is it? They came out with the September edition before they came out with the August edition. That never happened in the history of the Watchtower. And now we see things got very weird. People were saying, where is the Watchtower? Well, friends, it still isn't out, but I was fortunate enough to get some information that leaked out about it. Now, it was in a foreign language. And, of course, I can only speak one language, but a person was kind enough to kind of translate it, so I got the gist of everything. But just to give you an idea, this leak is now out. The witnesses are not even aware of it. But I just want to say that it does concern disfellowshipping and marking. But just to kind of bring you up to speed, I believe they held back on allowing this magazine to come out. Right now, we know that they're under investigation. They're under the microscope in many, many countries for some of their tactics, and some of their tactics dealing with shunning and disfellowshipping and how people have been really hurt. And countries are starting to say enough is enough. So I believe they had to make these adjustments. And in order for that Watchtower August edition to come out, they had to make sure they had it all right, that they had to sleep on it. They had to think about it. What are we going to say? How are we going to say it? But it does deal with disfellowshipping. But now what I'm noticing also is some of the articles going forward that are available on jw.org, like in October. Study article number 31, the Watchtower. Now, I'm just going to give you some of the articles that are going to follow this August Watchtower, so it kind of shows you where they're going with it. But the October 30 study article 31, it deals with what Jehovah did to save his people. Then study article 32, Jehovah wants everyone to repent. Study article 33, excuse me, how the congregation can imitate Jehovah's view of sinners. Study article 34, love and mercy to sinners. Study article 35, for those removed from the congregation. So it seems like they have a whole series of Watchtower study articles that are going to be dealing with disfellowshipping in particular. But they do mention some changes here that I want to bring to your attention tonight. Many of you guys have already heard about it, but I think it's so fascinating that this is now being leaked out and we're getting an idea. Many of us thought that this was to deal with shunning and disfellowshipping because it's such a heinous and shameful practice. But I'm going to give you kind of a summary We'll go through it as much as I possibly can in depth, but then we're going to open the lines. I want to hear what you folks have to think of it as well. But in summary, the Watchtower is saying that we are all sinners, so we have to be reasonable on how we punish sinners. Well, that's a true statement. Even the Jehovah's Witnesses are sinners. Everybody on the planet is a sinner. So the Watchtower is now saying they have to be reasonable on how they punish sinners. If elders and congregations do not quickly help someone come to be reinstated, they would be imitating Satan, the devil, not Jehovah. Yes, they actually said that. So I'm thinking, now that's a strange thing to say, right? So if the elders in the congregation are not quick to help one who is sinning to get away from his bad ways, the elders would be imitating Satan, the devil. So I guess they've been imitating Satan, the devil, for many years here. And so this is amazing that this is a big change, friends. This is a game changer, a very strong game changer. Now, we all know in the box, questions from readers. They have that in this Watchtower that is not available yet online, but the leak does. I do have pictures of it, and in the box, that is the question from readers box, it explains marking, and a lot of folks have been marked. Have you ever been marked? Now, some witnesses perhaps never heard of this, but I mean, I think 90% of people listening to this program know what marking is in the Jehovah's Witness cult. That marking process that exists is no longer going to be done. There'll be no more marking in the Jehovah's Witness organization. And it says that marking is something each congregation person will personally choose to do In other words, it's not going to be an elder. There's not going to be a talk given that, we have to mark this. Well, they never really said that, but they would give a local needs talk, right? And everyone would know what they're talking about. But they're no longer going to mark people. Now, they will mark them still if the person, this is the three reasons why they still will mark, but everything else they're going to let slide. So let's go with the three reasons. First of all, they're not going to mark one for a minor sin, but they would mark someone, for example, who is dating an unbelieving person. They would do that. They would mark a person for that. Or they would mark an apostate, if you're a known apostate, or if you just associated yourself because you're no longer one of Jehovah's Witnesses, you still could be marked. So, but what they're saying here, even if a person is not marked, they're saying that each member of the congregation will personally decide whether they want to mark a person or not. And part of that marking, let's just go with me, Rick. All right, so I'm in a congregation of Jehovah's Witness, and Rick sees a person that, he doesn't think really is loyal to the Watchtower. I can personally mark that person. And if I'm having a party, a get-together, if I am inviting people over my house for association, I wouldn't invite that person. So you can see this is what they're going to do. Now, many people say that's nothing new, but you're not going to get this from the congregation. Before, you would know if a person was marked, the congregation would give a local needs talk, and you know that. Now, this idea of not inviting them to your party or to your house would be something that would take place, but that doesn't mean that you couldn't talk to that person. So that's kind of new. Generally, if you were marked, you got the same punishment as one who was disfellowshipped. So elders are no longer going to mark people, excuse me, because in my way of thinking, what that does is it leaves a trail leading to Bethel. and it could be against various privacy laws. This could lead to many lawsuits. So I'm thinking this is one of the reasons why the elders are no longer going to be put in a position to mark people. So this is a new arrangement. And how is a person, what I'm thinking here is, how is a person in the congregation, how are they going to know whether to mark a certain one? How do they exactly decide how to do that? I got some information. I had to go back because I wanted to find out when marking started in the Jehovah's Witness organization. And I had to go back. The first article I could find was back in 1982. The Watchtower 1982. It talks about how the Watchtower is totally justified in marking people. And they were using 2 Thessalonians chapter 3 as justification. Well, now it's a flip-flop. We know the Watchtower has many, many flip-flops in their history. So people were being marked up until now. And I can't even say now because this magazine hasn't been released. But when it is released, we now know that there will be no more marking in the organization. So this is something that's somewhat new, and I'm stepping out of line here, and kind of communicate my thoughts. And this all has to do with court cases. This has to do with legal issues. The Watchtower does not want to be put in a position of marking and kind of suggesting things about other people. This is really a violation of human rights. So this all has to do with, stopping that paper trail to the court. The Watchtower is in too much trouble all around the world. And the basis for doing this has changed. The Watchtower is now using scriptures, I believe the same scripture in Thessalonians that they used to mark people. They've now taken and flip-flopped that. And now they're saying that it's not really the elder's position to judge. So what we're also learning here is judicial committees will no longer be called judicial committees. Now, as long as I was one of Jehovah's Witnesses, if you got in trouble, you sinned in the Watchtower, you had to face a judicial committee. And, people, I can remember even when I faced my judicial committee back in 2005 and was disfellowshipped, and I told people about that weren't Jehovah's Witnesses, they would always say, well, what gives these elders the right to be judges from these judicial committees? Well, the Watchtower now is doing away with that term. They're no longer going to use the term judicial committees because judging is really not really a position the elders want to find themselves in with the tarnished image of the Watchtower these days. So what they're saying here is rather than the elders be in a judging position, they're saying the elders' main goal is mercy. Oh, where was the mercy when I was disfellowshipped? Where was the mercy when you were disfellowshipped? So they're gently trying to change the way of thinking. They don't really want to have judgment upon people. They want people in the congregation to do the judging. They want the elders off the hook. Well, where were they? There's many people listening to this program right now that were disfellowshipped, and they were not treated with mercy at all. And I'm sure that many of you listening are disgusted over this. How can they make a change like that? So the announcement to the congregation of reproval will no longer happen. No longer happen. And that is in the Watchtower August edition. So an announcement of disfellowshipping an unrepentant wrongdoer, either an apostate, a child abuser, or someone who is scheming their marriage will take place. So if you have a person that is an unrepentant wrongdoer, an apostate, a child abuser, or someone scheming to end their marriage, they still could be announced as no longer wanting to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses. But I mean, that's 3 issues. There were many things that people have been disfellowshipped before on, but these are the 3 areas I can see that still an announcement would be made. But other than that, no one's going to be announced that they're no longer one of Jehovah's Witnesses from the platform, except for those 3 things I just mentioned. So anyways, I thought that was really, really fascinating. So see, what constitutes an apostate? They're saying here in this article as well that apostates must be avoided, especially on social media and their websites. So they're openly telling Jehovah's Witnesses to avoid apostates on websites and involved in the social media. Now, what was happening is some Jehovah's Witnesses, even loyal witnesses, were kind of witnessing, you could say, or sending messages to these apostates. I've got them. I got messages from witnesses trying to preach to me, and Rick, come back to the organization. Why have you left? And we want you back. So the Watchtower now is clamping down and saying, don't send messages to anyone sharing in wicked works. Well, that would be me, and that would be many of you. I suppose we're all sharing in wicked works. So this is a massive game changer. Friends, this is really, really big. I'm saying now, in fact, I'm sure a lot of you guys get comments. We'll take those very, very shortly, but it's all coming out now. Watchtower is responding to legal problems. They are in deep doo-doo all over the world. They are faced with this idea of hurting people through shunning, causing people to commit suicide, causing people to have high levels of anxiety. So, you know, it's not, they're not making these changes because they have love or they have compassion for the witness world. They're making these changes because of legal issues and because of MONEY, money. So anyways, I wanted to bring that up. So that means I'm just going to give you, I'll give you my nutshell thought on this. That means that there's many, many witnesses that will not be disfellowshipped. There's many, many witnesses here that now who have been disfellowshipped. You'll find some of the witnesses now talking to you. So friends, this is a game changer. This is something to really put out there. And I know that you guys feel the same way. Some of you people have been talked to for years. Don't be surprised if the witnesses, now, unless you were an apostate, no one's going to talk to me. Unless you were deliberately scheming to get out of your marriage, no one's going to talk to you. But if maybe you might have smoked a cigarette, maybe you took a blood transfusion, maybe you might have even had an abortion, don't worry about it. You're not going to be disfellowshipped. All right, let's bring it on. What do you guys have to say? If you got something to say, come on. Let's hear you. Come on. Okay, let's go with Chewy first. Hold on one second. Chewy's on with us first. Chewy, what do you have to say?
Well, initially, when I say one in Walmart now, I want to have fun with this because they're going to let me know. I'm just going to go right straight up to them and I say, hey, how you doing? When's the magazine hit? I want to just go right up and straight to them and then try to shake their hand, and I'm going to find out whether they're a friend of mine or not. They know who I am. And I'm kind of in a nuance is because I've never been disfellowshipped for apostasy. So they might have a hard time figuring that one out. But anyway, the way I'm going to use it with my wife is I'm just going to tell her, and I'm not going to tell her what's in it or anything like that unless she asks. But I am just going to tell her that there is for the first time, there is something that I know in the Watchtower before it comes out. I'm going to tell you that there's some critical information in that Watchtower, and I want you to know that it's coming from me, and I know, and so even though I'm an apostate, okay, it's coming from me. So you know it's not apostate lies when I say I know what's going on with the organization, which we do. And this is proof. We've got information before they know it. So anyway, that's the way I'm going to work it. And I'm not going to shove it in their face. I'm not just going to go up there and say, hey, here it is. No, I'm just going to smoothly just work it in. I'm not going to get confrontational with it or anything. Thank you.
Well, Chewy, I know that's going to be because you weren't ever disfellowshipped, but you still kind of got shunned. This is going to open the door. You watch. You're going to get a lot of Jehovah's Witnesses who are loyal witnesses speaking to you again. They're not going to avoid you. They're going to love you, Chewy, for the first time in a long time. Yeah.
It's going to be their own choice. That's the thing. That's the thing. It's their own choice. Now we're saying it's their own choice. You know. So.
Well, thank you, Chewy. Always good to hear from Chewy.
Mr.
Yeah, let's go to Chicago. Yeah, Stefan, go ahead. You're on with us.
So that, yeah, we probably can take the next couple months and discuss all the avenues of what this announcement and what it all means. But just first off, first of all, the thing that pisses me off is the cowardly way Watchtower does this. This is something that should be taught. It should go across the platform. It should be in a meeting part. You can discuss that in assembly. Nope. Where do they do it? They shove it in the back of the magazine in the questions asked section or whatever it is. How cowardly! They are such cowards. Their whole approach is we are never wrong. Even if we're always right. Even when we're wrong, we're right. And so we'll make this change, and then they'll react out of it. The other thing that crosses me, they are making so many changes so quickly that the Watchtower people probably can't even really keep up with just the simple concept that if this organization is God-based, what God told you yesterday is going to be the same for yesterday, today, and tomorrow. Well, now that they're making so many changes, they can't see it. And they'll the Bible never said you couldn't wear a beard. Yeah, the Bible never said that. Watchtower said it, and you were abided by it. You would be disfellowshipped, or you'd never progress in the congregation if you had one. Now it's no big deal. They can't understand and see all of these changes are intentionally being done, and they're being done so fast that they cannot even see that this is all just going right over their head. This is all proof that this organization is human, not of divine origin. They can't even see it. Now you take this latest announcement that you just read today, which we can't obviously get into the whole aspect of it. First of all, the way they go about it is so cowardly. Then one aspect of it that really jumps out at me about this fellowship in a person because of who they marry. The only thing that the scriptures say, which is Paul, it's not coming from God or Jesus, it's Paul. Who is Paul? Nobody. And Paul says, in so many words, that a Christian should marry a Christian. So if I'm a Jehovah's Witness and I marry somebody who's a Baptist or a Catholic or Pentecostal or whatever, I'm still a Christian marrying another Christian. How can you justify disfellowship in that person in the first place? So all of this just tells me exactly what you always say. This organization is in free fall. The lack of attendance in the conventions is evidence of that. The fact that they're making all these changes is not for the benefit of the people. It's because of the lawsuits and all the rest. And they're making changes so fast, they're not thought out. They have no idea of the outcome. They're going to have to spell this stuff out to individuals. And the last thing that I want to say is, if you're going to take marking away, you're not being marked by an organization. You marked by the members of the organization. That has nothing to do with the organization. You can't sue them. Then they're going to find a way to do the same thing with disfellowshipping. And that, to me, is what this is really leading up to. We're not disfellowshipping you. The members of your congregation are. You can't hold us responsible. That's my thought on that.
Well, that's good thoughts, Stefan. And I can see passion, and I can see almost a level of anger. I mean, you would be angry.
I'm always angry.
Yeah,
I'm always angry when it comes. This organization ruins people's lives, plays with people's lives, and then in the way they try to sell it, like this latest video that was in one of these convention days, where they're talking to people who had gone to jail. Can you imagine going to jail for this organization? And then you're sitting there and you're talking about it as if it was somehow a good thing. It's something that Jehovah wanted you to do. He blessed you for it. No, you wasted years of your life for this organization. And now everything that you've done, it doesn't mean anything. It wasn't from the Bible in the first place. It wasn't from God in the first place. But it doesn't even mean anything in this organization. It is a joke. They treat people's lives like a joke, and that's what makes me angry.
Well, you have every right in the world to be angry. Well, we get another man coming on. I don't know if he's angry, but he certainly has a lot to say about the Watchtower. That's Dick Boogie. What do you have to say, Dick?
Yeah, thank you, Rick. I've been watching the YouTube video on fixing your religion with, I believe it's Vance from Canada, and he's been doing a expose on Shepherd the Flock book, and it's pages and pages and pages long, especially on the disfellowshipping. I mean, you'd have to be an attorney to get through this stuff, and it changes every couple of months. And did I hear you say that adultery, if you're an adulterer, that you won't be disfellowshipped?
According to what I've seen here in this leaked Watchtower, August, it's showing the only reason why it will be announced from the platform is if you're an apostate, for one thing, or you marry an unbeliever, another thing. And then the third thing is if you say you no longer want to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses or also an abuser, a child molester. Now, it seems like, I mean, I don't have the article before me. It was translated for me. It came through under a foreign language and it was translated, and then I got it. And I did not see anything about reasons why your name would be read as being no longer one of Jehovah's Witnesses. We know that's synonymous with disfellowshipping, but there was nothing in there. There was only 3 reasons they cited where it would be announced. So that kind of, now that would make you angry, right, Dick?
You know, it's so unfair and dishonest. I never get caught. I am an adulterer, at least I was with my first wife, and I'm ashamed of that, and I have no excuse for it. But I will tell the audience this. I went to the elders. I didn't get caught. I didn't come up with any STD. When I told my wife that I had cheated on her, she wouldn't believe me. I went to the elders simply because I believed in the Aiken theory that if you're hiding a sin as serious as adultery, that the congregation gets punished by the Holy Spirit being taken away because of one person's action. So I had so much love for my congregation that I went to the elders, and because of political stuff, I was disfellowshipped, and I lost my marriage, my house, my kids, the whole bit, my sister. It's a horrible organization. It's just so unfair. And I would say to anybody in the audience, if you've committed a serious sin, I guess things are going to change, but as I speak right now, if you've committed a serious sin, you tell Jesus, you repent, and you pray to God for forgiveness, and you stop doing it, and that's all you have to do. Thank you, Rick.
Well, thank you, Dick. And just to clarify that, now, you know, the Watchtower isn't saying, oh, great, go out and commit adultery. But what they're saying is the elders are not going to be the judge. There's 3 things there I mentioned. They will judge to some degree. But in other words, the congregation is going to do the judging. So if they find out that Jimmy Jones committed adultery and it spreads around, well, people, now the punishment will be they won't be able to go over to that person's house. They won't be able to go to a party or a get together. So that'll be, but so it's really not even too hazy to me. It's pretty clear that the Watchtower has been doing this right along. They're leaving it up to the individual rank and file witness to cast judgment. You know, do you take a blood transfusion or not? Well, it's up to your conscience. Do I speak to this person or not? Well, it's up to your conscience. It seems like they're throwing everything back on the rank and file member. They're taking the elders out of the legal arena. That's what seems to be taking place, Dick. Thank you.
Is he going to do shunning? Are they going to shun?
There was no mention of shun. The only thing they said is that the individual, you know, the congregation, in other words, if you're going to call shunning, I'm sure they'll do it. The elders aren't going to put themselves in a position to say it. But if you have been marked by people in the congregation, they will still shun you. Actually, what it said though, they would still talk to you. They would still talk to you, but the only thing that would transpire is you wouldn't be invited to a congregation member's house who's in good standing, or you wouldn't be able to go to their party. But it didn't say shun them. It said you could still basically talk to them. Yeah. All right. So, okay, who's on next? I guess it's anonymous. Go ahead. You're on with us.
Is this going to be retroactive for those that are already disfellowshipped?
All right, Randy, explain that to the audience. It's going to be retroactive. How will that work?
No, I'm asking you the question: is this going to be retroactive? I mean, if somebody's already disfellowshipped, will they just rescind that? I mean, what you read sounded like from this point on, they're not going to have the judicial committee. They're not going to do the disfellowshipping, but for three reasons. Well, what about somebody that was already disfellowshipped a year ago, or 5 years ago, or 10 years ago for adultery or other reasons? Will that be rescinded?
Well, that's a darn good question. I didn't think of that, but you got me thinking right now. And what I'm coming to grips with here is if you follow the way laws of the land are written, when you have a law that no longer is a law, then people who committed the sin prior to the new understanding, that they would have release from their sin. So I'm thinking that Watchtower, now there's going to be a series of articles on this. There's going to be like 6 articles. This August Watchtower is the first one, but I noticed for the next 3 months afterwards, there's also articles in every Watchtower study edition about disfellowshipping and sinning. So maybe that will be addressed, but it wasn't addressed in the August Watchtower leaked version that I have. No. Very fascinating. Very fascinating. Friends, I have to tell you, the Watchtower is changing. This is not the same organization, but I would hope that Randy, because I know that Randy has suffered. He has family members that have not in any way been very respectful to him. And, he is concerned about that. And, what's good for the goose is good for the gander. So if all of a sudden you're going to rescind your position on disfellowshipping and allow, people to talk to you on minor issues, then why wouldn't people who were disfellowshipped in the past, why couldn't they come under that Watchtower guidance as well? What do you think, Randy?
Well, in my situation, I've never been disfellowshipped, but probably my daughter may never speak to me again, because I have been known to be critical, in the past of Watchtower and their policies and such. I guess I was asking that question about if it would be rescinded for more of other people that I know that has been disfellowshipped. This recent thing about them telling you can say a greeting to them and everything. I was so excited when that first happened, but I got to tell you, that has really backfired in some cases. I know of some cases where they went more than saying a greeting. They got really friendly. They even apologized and everything for their shunning. And then the very next day they said, no, we prayed about it, and we can't have anything to do with you now. You'll have to just go talk to an elders. I mean, that is so inhumane. I mean, it'd been better for some cases, if they had just not ever had done that. So I'm hoping they will go ahead and just cut it in the bud and completely rescind everything automatically. I mean, you go cut off a dog's tail, you don't just do a little bit of it at a time. That's inhumane, and that's kind of what they're trying to do right now. But you talked about the laws of the land. Just recently, the president signed a thing about getting military people who were dishonorably discharged that were gay, and they had criminal things against them because of being gay in the military. They can now get that absolved, but they have to apply for it. And that should have just been automatic, in my opinion, the same way as the disfellowship thing should be. It should be automatic. You shouldn't have to be told, go talk to your elder and ask to be reinstated. But it wouldn't surprise me if that's not what they do.
Well, Randy, I'm just thinking, just me now, thinking out loud. I don't know. I haven't read this in a Watchtower or anything. But what I'm thinking is Watchtower is going to have to go forward being a little more kind and gentle. Their numbers are dragging, they are tanking, and it would only be in their best interest if they're going to carry this forth with this understanding, the new understanding of marking it as fellowshipping. If they're going to carry this forth for the modern witness today, for the current witness, and if they want to get more people to perhaps come back, more people to perhaps feel a little better about the Watchtower, they're going to have to say, fine, we now open the doors to those and we're going to make an adjustment. They're never going to say it was a mistake, but they'll say it was an adjustment. So maybe, Randy, we can hold hope for that, because there's a lot of people listening to this program tonight that are suffering. They are suffering because of the punishment of shunning and disfellowshipping.
Mr. Freeman?
Yes, go ahead, Stephan.
Stephanie, just a quick thought. Mr. Randy just brought up a really important point. We don't know if they're going to retrofit or not. Like I said, they're making changes so fast, I don't even think they've got answers themselves as to what they're doing. This is all about court cases, so they can go to court and say, we as an organization no longer mark people. Perhaps in the future, we as an organization no longer disfellowship people. Now, we have no control over whether the individual members talk to somebody or not, hoping that would satisfy, court cases and they can continue to get money and win lawsuits and all the rest. But Randy brought up a really interesting point. If some of the reasons why people were disfellowshipped are now no longer disfellowshipping offenses, are they automatically reinstated? And we know and we have heard that Watchtower really no longer keeps records. They tell the elders to destroy records when they have their judicial committees and all the rest. So congregations, do they even know who's disfellowshipped? When were they disfellowshipped? Why were they disfellowshipped? They don't even maintain records on that stuff anymore. So how are you even going to handle that? How are you even going to say, is the person just going to walk in the Kingdom Hall and say, hey, 20 years ago I was disfellowshipped because Elder Bob didn't like me? Well, we don't know who you are. We don't have any records. Congregation you used to go to has been disbanded and broken up, and nobody from those halls are even alive anymore. How are they even going to do that?
Well, that's you guys are.
This so-called organization is so damn disorganized that it's a joke. They are a joke.
Well, I'm so glad we have. I always said that the listeners to this program are intelligent people. I mean, they can see through the cracks. They can figure things out. There's a lot of unanswered questions here. But maybe because there's going to be a series of articles in the Watchtower Study Edition and in the future that will be dealing with this matter. So maybe they'll address it. I mean, this Watchtower, August 2024, was delayed. This never happened before in the history of the Watchtower. So it was delayed because they had to be very careful. They had to make sure that everything they said was correct. They had many sleepless nights. They consulted with many people. Should we go forward with this? Now, it looks like it will be released. It still hasn't been released yet, but it's getting ready to be released. Yep.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. No matter how many Watchtower articles they have on trying to address this, they've already instructed elders not to retain records. So they don't have records of these things. So how are you going to address a person that was disfellowshipped in the past, like I said, maybe a year or two ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years, whatever the case is, when you don't even have any records on?
Well, I mean, the Watchtower sometimes doesn't go with records and statistics or data. That they wave a magic they wave a magic wand. So yeah, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So this whole thing is going to be very interesting.
Well, it's going to be very interesting.
They create.
Thank you, Stephan. All right, let's go over. Let's take a look. Let's go to looks. Well, we got a number of people on. Let's go to 213. 213. Come on with us.
Hey, Rick, how you doing?
I'm good.
You know, Rick, now you said they're going to stop publicly reproving people.
That's what it looks like. It's public reproving came under the same. Well, public reproving came under the same category as marking to some degree, but they're not going to do marking. So I'm sure they're not going to do public reproving either. They're now leaving it up. They're leaving it up to the rank and file to judge these people. They want the judge. They don't want the elders to be judges. This is getting them in hot water.
So does that mean I can celebrate Christmas and my birthday and no, I won't get in any trouble? Is that what you're saying?
Well, the thing is, if you can say it, but now what you have is who is going to be the judges. That's going to be the rank and file in the congregation. So if you're in a congregation and you go up, hey, Merry Christmas, Cindy. Did you hear him say Merry Christmas? He's not coming to my party. I'm not going to invite him to my gathering. You follow me?
Oh, okay. I think they're going to open up a can of worms because a lot of people are going to probably leave because after all these years, you know, I'm getting in trouble for celebrating Christmas or your birthday or Easter. Now all of a sudden it's okay. You can do it.
Well, the thing is, if there's a minor thing like that, that the Watchtower is backing off making these harsh sentences. You might be able to get away with it. It depends on what congregation you're in, but you might not be bothered by it. I mean, but if you're going to go out and really be a real sinner, the elders aren't going to judge you. The congregation members will judge you. Thank you, John. We got to move on. We got another caller. Let's go to 540. 540, you're on with us.
Okay, Rick, this is what's going to go down. They're going to keep all the records at their headquarters, and they're going to have all this paperwork still in their kingdom halls. Okay, that's number one. Number two, now you don't go and sue just the elders. You sue the whole congregation, and that's what's going to happen. But it's going to be put under our law from what the Watchtower was trying to do in Congress, was trying to get a law passed where you couldn't sue individual congregations.
Well, you're going
to be able to sue the organization, but the congregation is going to have their own representative and their own lawyer. You watch. Mark my words.
Well, I've always listened to you, David, and we'll see what happens. I mean, that's a thought. I mean, now the congregation could be put on the legal stand. Geez, I don't know. This Watchtower, they're going to get more people in trouble you can think of.
What they're going to be able to do is to sue the individuals that did this, and then they're going to turn around and they can take your home, everything. I looked into all this just a couple of days ago because I am not a witness, but I'm married to a witness. And I looked at all the legal standpoints over the last 6 weeks of what they're doing to maneuver and make money and keep everything okay for themselves. Watch.
Well, we'll be watching. Thank you, David. We're going to move to another caller now. Let's check in with. Let's go to 978. Looks like Dick Borgie. Go ahead, Dick.
Yeah, thank you, Rick. You know, there's an elephant in the room. In the late 70s and early 80s, somewhere in that vicinity, we were disfellowshipping people, or the governing body was disfellowshipping people. My sister-in-law put a Santa Claus on her lapel in her jacket, and one of the elders saw it and invited her to a judicial meeting. She wouldn't go, so they disfellowshipped her. I've told the story a number of times on 6 screens. Anyway, so she was disfellowshipped, so me and my former wife, we didn't talk to her. I had her off from my boys because she's still babysitting. Then the Watchtower came out with an article stating that you should give love to these erring ones. bring them in your house, feed them, try to entice them to go back into the Watchtower. So they flip-flop dramatically, and they're doing that now. I don't know how they can ever enforce this rule that says just the rank and file Jehovah's Witnesses are going to be the ones who are going to decide who they can shun and who they can't, or who they can invite over their house and who they can't. This is a can of worms the Watchtower is going to certainly regret putting out there in the Watchtower. What a scam organization. The elders, the ones that are legitimate and really love the congregation, they're going to be going crazy because their phone is going to ring all the time. Brother so-and-so stunned me or shunned me the other day, and it's just going to be horrible for the elders, and it's going to be horrible for this cult. Thanks, Rick.
Well, thank you, Dick. Always good to hear from you. Let's move on to New Hampshire. Let's go to 603. Run with us.
Hi, this is Tom from New Hampshire. This is exactly what I went through, and this is exactly why I was never able to get back into the Jehovah's Witness religion, because I was not baptized. I was a approved associate. I was a approved publisher. I handled the mics and things like that because I did my 10 hours a month. I had Bible studies, return visits, and all that. I tried, but I was not baptized. And then when I was 18 years old, and I decided that I was no longer going to be one of Jehovah's Witnesses, they disassociated me. They called it disassociation, and they had to treat me exactly the same as a disfellowship person. So my mom and all of my family and everybody that I knew that were witnesses had to treat me as if I was disfellowshipped. And so I know what it feels like to be disfellowshipped, even though 2 years later, what happened, I mean, they changed the rules, and I believe it was because of legal reasons. I think they probably sued. I honestly do not know the actual reason, but that's the only thing that makes sense, that they had to change that so that if you weren't actually baptized, then they could not treat you the same as a disfellowship person. So all of a sudden, I could talk to my family again. And so now they're playing the same game, except for with people that were baptized. But it has to probably, I just can only imagine that it is related to legal issues, because that, to me, is the only reason why they changed the rules for people like me that had to suffer consequences. And then all of a sudden, it was new light, and God decided that I did not need to be shunned by my family. So what do you think, Rick? Do you think this is similar? Is it because of the lawsuits? Because that, I believe that is exactly why they changed what happened to me and many, many other young people that grew up as Jehovah's Witnesses.
Well, no, I do believe what you said. It's all about lawsuits. It's all about lawsuits. They've got to do something about it because the nations are starting to catch up with them, Tom. That is the problem. Thank you, Tom, for checking in with us. Always good to hear from you from New Hampshire. Thank you very, very much. Well, we're going to move on. We thank Tom. We thank all these people for coming on and wanting to be with us tonight. But we're going to move on. We got more programs to do here tonight. We got 2 more programs coming up. We have Constance and Dick Borgie coming on here very shortly. Then we have a new program starting around 10:30, 11 o'clock tonight with Gilbert Gonzalez and his brother Jesse. But in the meantime, there's a few other things I want to mention before we close the news out here. I think it's very, very important. I want to show you folks something that I found that is quite disturbing. The picture, we're going to start doing our picture of the week. So let me show you something. I'm going to show you a picture that I took right off of the Gilead graduation video. And this picture is very, very disturbing to me. I want you to see it. I'll discuss it a little bit and not go into a lot of detail because we don't have time. But I'm going to show you a picture here that really shows how satanic the organization is. I'm going to put the picture up right now. So this is a clip. You can see the picture in front of you. I mean, you can see what's going on in that picture. I took this right off of, I made a screenshot right off of jw.org. And I'm going to play a part of that video so you can see it. This is right. This is not photoshopped. This is in no way overemphasized in any way. I took this right from jw.org. What you have here in that picture is the Good Samaritan. That's the man with the blue hat on. And he has that man with him who was a Samaritan. He was picked up and put into a hotel room. And so the one who picked him up, the good man here, the Good Samaritan, do you see what he's doing in this picture? Do you notice what he is doing? I mean, can you see it? It's so blatantly noticeable. I'm going to play the video from jw.org. It's very, I don't want to get into sexual stuff here tonight, but I mean, you can see what's going on. The man is, the Samaritan man is laying in bed with an erection. Do you see that? This is very sick. Well, this is why we do the 6 screens. Friends, there's many people tonight that might be listening in here and say, Rick, that's nothing. That's just a fold in the sheet. There's nothing to move on. There's nothing to discuss here. I have to discuss this. That is very disgusting. This organization, the Watchtower organization, is satanic. It's sick. And, you know, if you don't see it, I'm sorry. Maybe you're blind. But that man in that picture, the Samaritan man laying in that bed, has got a full erection. I mean, I hope the children aren't listening here. I'm not going to get too deep into it. But this is disgusting to me. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to also play the video I got that from. This is right off of jw.org. This is not photoshopped. I'm going to play the video. So let's play the video right now. Let me just, let me make sure I have it here with us. I know where it's going to come in. Let me just see where we are. It comes in at about 8. Okay, let's start playing the video. First of all, I got to share it. I'm sorry. Let me go back to my my screen. And what I have to do here is I have to share the screen. So let me do that. This all takes some technical stuff here. So that's why it's okay. Let's go to jw.org. Okay, the video. I'm going to play this video. Now, I'm going to show you. I showed you the picture. I did not make this up. This is a legitimate picture right off of their website. Friends, if you are one of Jehovah's Witnesses and you see this, maybe you missed it. Maybe you didn't see it, but I watch for this stuff. This is something. It's not even subliminal. It's blatantly noticeable. Let's share this right now. Let's play it. Let's play it.
33, 34. He's traveling this road. He's moved with pity. He approaches him, bandages the wounds, pours oil and wine on them, mounts the poor man on his own animal, brings him to an inn, takes care of him, evidently all that day.
Oh, yeah. He takes care of him all that day. This is, I just stopped the video. You tell me. You tell me in this picture what's going on here. Is that just a crease in the sheets? I mean, I wanted to bring this to you. This is our picture of the week. We're going to start doing this at the end of every program. You tell me that is despicable. There it is. I mean, I don't know what else to say about it. All I can tell you is, why would the Watchtower do something like this? Well, why would they do this? That does not make any sense to me at all. Does anyone see that? Yes, Dick.
Yeah, Rick, they've been doing this for years. Little subliminal here. You know, if you take all Watchtowers and awake magazines and you turn them upside down and sideways, you're going to see a lot of horrible stuff. You know, you're going to see goats and bassinets and all that kind of crap. Watchtower's been doing that for years. And yeah, I agree with you 100%. That is a man with an erection wrapped up in the sheets. That's what it is. You're right on target.
Yeah.
Hey, Rick?
Yes, go ahead, Susan.
Well, when you showed me that picture, what did it take me? 2 seconds to figure out what that was? That's not even subliminal. That's not subliminal. You showed it to me. Like, what? I can't, and even if, let's say the governing body had no idea that some Bethelite was a joke and was doing this, they're still responsible. Everything they print. They say the governing, I've heard them say this and talk, that the governing body directs everything that goes on. So they said it, so they've got to live with it.
Well, thank you, Susan, for checking in. I mean, it's blatantly noticeable. I mean, sometimes you can see things and your mind kind of wanders and, am I really seeing this? I'm seeing it. There's no getting around it. That is exactly what's going on there. 352, you're on with us. Go ahead.
Yes. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Yes. I'm not trying to be corrective of you, but the person in the bed is not the Good Samaritan. That is the guy that was robbed and beaten, and the Good Samaritan is the guy beside the bed.
Yeah, so come back with that again. So, okay, I might have got it.
The person in the bed was the guy that was robbed, and the Good Samaritan is the guy beside him.
Right.
On the floor.
I might have got that mixed up, but I thought I did mention that. I'm done. Well, thank you for correcting it. But nonetheless, do you see what's?
You're absolutely right. That picture would show.
Yeah, you get the YouTube on the background, but thank you. I mean, if that's the correct, I might have had it mixed up there a little bit, but thank you. Okay.
But yes, you're right. That crease in the bed is sticking up, and it's blatantly showing homosexuality, no doubt.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, in this picture here, let me go back to this picture. I'm going to show you something now. I'm glad you brought up homosexuality here. Because I'm going to show you something. This is the picture. This is the screenshot that I made. So there's the man laying in the bed with a full erection. I hate to say it, but what's outside the window? A jackass, an ass, as some would say. So is there a connection here? A man with an erection and an ass outside the window. Can people read? Can people? I mean, can people read more? Can people read more into this than there is? I mean, I hate to say it, but my mind isn't warped here. Yeah. Go ahead.
Rick.
Yes.
Everybody pay attention to this, because the simple fact, if you take a magnifying glass and look at these pictures with a magnifying glass, you'll see a lot more than what you will ever know that they put in the magazines.
Well, I haven't looked at it with a magnifying glass, but thank you, David, for suggesting that. This is just totally old. I want to go to 206. I want to go to our friend Jim. Jim, you're on with us. What do you say, Jim?
Hey, Rick, how you doing?
I'm good.
I think the explanation is pretty simple. Somebody in the art department at the Watchtower just decided that it was time to have a Bible story with a happy ending.
Well, that might be the case, but I'm telling you, it was so noticeable. It's right on there. I took it right off of jw.org. Unbelievable, Jim. I can't believe it myself. Unreal.
Hello, Rick.
Yes.
Hi, Rick. It's Constance. I was going to say, you have an incredible library of Watchtower. Do you buy, all the magazines, books, volumes, everything? Do you by any chance have the creation book the small blue book called Creation by any chance?
Yes, I've got 6 copies of it.
Okay, because several years ago, Allison Wong from No Nonsense Facebook XJW group, she had posted, and I had never seen this, Rick, I had never seen it, but if you have that book, you might want to, just as a thought, consider showing it to your audience on YouTube. And on one of the particular pages of the Creation book, it's a blue book, it's like soft blue color. I don't remember what year that book was written, but anyway, it shows Jesus and the 2 evildoers next to him on Calgary, and it is so blatant. There's nothing there to try to guess. It's right in your face. It shows 2 men that are naked to the side of where Jesus is on the ground, and they're performing anal sex.
I know the picture. I've known the picture in the past. I have brought it up, and I will get that picture so that we'll say, I don't have it here handy in front of me, but I do know the picture. I brought it up here years ago on the 6 screens, that this is blatantly in the open. That someone cannot say, you're making this up, you're reading more into it. Friends, you can see it, that this is not a game we're playing here. So the first thing that you should be asking tonight, if you're a Jehovah's Witness that's loyal to the organization, the first thing you should be asking here tonight is, why would they do that? Why would they do that? I'm going to throw it out. Why do you think the Watchtower is doing this? Who wants to take a shot at it? Why is the Watchtower so sexually explicit in some of their videos and many of their pictures in their publications? Why is the Watchtower so sexually explicit? I want to hear from 860, why are they sexually explicit? 860, you're on with us.
That must be me,
Yeah.
Deborah.
Yes, Deborah.
I don't have an answer. I don't have an answer to that question, but my question is if, all right, the governing body members are only the governing body members on whenever they meet together, right? And they agree on whatever it is through all the publications. That's my understanding. They are the governing body members in agreement when they are together. Am I right, or am I disillusioned or wrong about that?
Well, they meet, from what I understand, every Wednesday morning at 10:30, and they're not always, Deborah. They're not always in unison, or they're not always agreeing with one another. But I mean, I have been told, I was at one point a friend with Brother Loesch, and he told me that every article, everything that goes out from the headquarters of the Watchtower is examined by the governing body. So did they examine that video? Yeah.
That's my question. Out of 9 men and all the people that created this magazine or wherever it came from, I can't follow Watchtower stuff online at all. But you can't tell me, nobody can tell me or convince me that out of these 9 members who claim to be God's prophets or whatever they want to call themselves today or tomorrow or yesterday, whatever, that nobody picked up on that. Not one of those 9 members. They are so disgusting and they're so deceitful and it's satanic, like you say. It is so satanic. It's terrible. And along with their disfellowshipping and non-disfellowshipping rules, it is like, it's so blatant in your face. Everything.
Well, thank you, Deborah. You're right, Deborah. You're certainly not wrong. You're certainly telling the truth. Thank you, Deborah. Okay, let's go to Dick Boogie. Dick Boogie, what do you have to say?
Yeah, do you remember our good friend Reese? Reese got a whole bunch of Watchtower and the White magazines going way, way back. And he started using magnifying glass and he started penciling in colored pencils all the different demonic signals or a demonic, just demonic prints of stuff. And he brought it into the Watchtower to show the governing body or whoever's in charge that there's someone on the staff in the art department that was doing this stuff. Thought he would expose them. They knew it, and they wouldn't even talk to him. So, like I said earlier, they've been doing this for years. Thank you, Rick.
Well, thank you, Dick. Always good to have you comment on these things. Well, we're getting ready. We got to move on. We got Dick and Constance, that man you just heard. He has a program coming up here. But we'll end the program here very shortly. Just a few things we do want to bring up. Friends, we have 6 Screen Sunday, which is tomorrow. And we have a Sunday program. Now, on Sunday, we take on a different feel. What we do on Sundays is we get into the scriptures. Hold on, 917. We'll bring you right on. I'm just going to mute you for the time being, but hang on with us, and we'll get you to speak up here very, very shortly. So anyways, we have 6 Screen Sunday. Now, we take on a different feel. We get into the scriptures. We talk theology. We don't do it on Saturday night. We do it on Sunday. We have a number of programs tomorrow. Now, at 1 o'clock, beginning tomorrow, we have an episode on knowing God after leaving the Watchtower. We have 2 Christian apologists that come on and explain things to us, and they try to tie Watchtower into it all. Now, tomorrow we have a very special program. Remember, we've talked about murder, suicide in the Watchtower. Well, a woman by the name of Lauren Stewart, she was a very attractive Jehovah's Witness. As a matter of fact, she was an elder, and she killed her whole family up in Kego Harbor, Michigan. Along with herself, she committed suicide. So what made her do it? Tomorrow, beginning at 1 o'clock, it was a disturbing mix of depression and Watchtower false teachings, which filled her with so much fear that she thought the only way to save her family was to kill her and her family. We will discuss that tomorrow at 1 o'clock, right here on the 6 Screens Telenetwork with Jody and Scott. You got to listen to this program. It's amazing. They'll be on tomorrow beginning at 1 o'clock right here on the 6 Screens Telenetwork. So we look forward to that. Plus, we have other programs. We have JW World News, Sunday edition. That comes on at 3. We have Anne Marie. She has a program, and it's all about Jehovah's Witnesses or ex-witnesses telling their story after they left the Watchtower. Then we have the Christian Court. We have that program beginning at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, actually. And that program deals with Christian questions. Some of them are peculiar, but you'll find it very fascinating. And then if you have any questions at all about the Bible, you have to. If you've been a Jehovah's Witness, you had to have some questions on their teaching. Well, the man that can help you is a man that one time was associated with the Watchtower Bible writing department. And he was in the writing department. He associated with it at least for a short while. He wrote many articles, and his name is JEHOVAH'S. He'll be on tomorrow beginning at 5 o'clock. He will answer your Bible questions. By all means, join Jay. All right, we're going to just go to the duck. We're going to go to the duck, and then about 5 or 10 minutes, we'll go to Connie and Dick, the D&C program coming up right here on the 6 Screens Telenetwork. Let's go to the duck. Let's see what questions we have. I don't think anyone mentioned them tonight. Let me just get in here. Sometimes I can't really follow it all, but we'll see if we can't see some of these questions that we do have here tonight. Where are those questions? I had the questions here, the good, the bad, the ugly. Okay. Okay. Let me see. All right. We mentioned it tonight. Maybe you caught it, maybe you didn't, but we're going to bring up some of these words tonight. I'm going to give you a chance to try to answer these questions and win one of the books. We got these books that we want to give away. So by all means, if you can answer this question, you can win one of these books. So let's I'm going to play the music. I'm going to ask a question. Then I want you to answer the question. But we're going to play the Jeopardy music. When the Jeopardy music stops, then you can answer it. I'll give you different clues to see if we can help you. We mentioned here tonight, so if you're listening to the program, maybe you will get it. The Watchtower uses all types of fallacious logic. The Watchtower uses what we call certain words. What word, or how would we define it? The Watchtower uses it a lot in their articles. What do we call these words? Wait for the music to stop, and you can win a prize. Okay. What? What?
Wiggle words.
Wiggle words? No, we don't have. It's not wiggle words. Not wiggle words. I'll give you another clue. Not wiggle words. I'll give you another clue. But wait until the music stops before you answer. It's identifiable with an animal. Okay, identifying with an animal.
Weasel words.
Weasel words. Who said that? Okay. All right. It's weasel words. You got it. Who is this?
Elaine.
Oh, this is Elaine. All right, Elaine. Well, send me your address, and I'm going to send you a nice Watchtower publication out. Okay.
Thanks, Rick. I appreciate it.
All right, Elaine. Good to hear from you. Thank you very much. Thanks for calling in and listening in.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so there you have it. So weasel words. Also, let's go with another clue here tonight. Let's go with, oh, it was so delicious. We all loved breakfast. What breakfast did we eat at the assemblies that we all loved the best? Listen to the music. All right, what breakfast did we really like the best at the assemblies, the conventions? What breakfast did we like? What was it? I'll give you another clue. It was in a package. It was in a package wrapped. It was wrapped in plastic. Go ahead. Cheese Danish. Who said cheese? Who said cheese Danish? Sharon, you win a prize. Send your address. It was cheese Danish. Yeah, you're right. All right.
Okay, I just sent you an email, Rick. It said Nasty Pit. It's the picture Connie was talking about.
All right. I'll take a look at it, and we'll be talking about it very shortly. All right. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you. All right. Everyone mute themselves. All right. Everyone mute themselves. All right. So anyways, we don't have much time. I want to go on for more. We got more questions. I got to go to the program. I got to end it there. But thank you all for coming in tonight. We got a lot of, let me just mute some people here. We've got a lot of people still on. Let me mute them. Okay. Let me mute them. I'd like to do more of this duck winning books, but we got to move on. We got Dick and Constance. My goodness, we got the DNC program coming up here, so we got to move on to that. Friends, I want to tell you, I am so happy. I'm so happy we're having so many more people coming in. You know, we're looking. I'm looking at the screen here tonight. We had listening live here tonight, and we've had over 300 people. 300 people come in here tonight. So I know a lot of it had to do with the news concerning disfellowshipping and shunning and all of that. But I want to thank everyone for coming in here tonight. And those who spoke up, I want to give them a special thanks. And I want to give a special thanks, too, for all of those that are exposing the Watchtower. All you folks that are doing YouTube. All you folks that are writing in Reddit. All you folks that are doing blogs. And all you folks that are making comments on Facebook and forming groups about the witness world. Thank you for doing that. Friends, it's all making a difference. It's bringing people out of the Watchtower. So, friends, thank you for listening in. I want you to keep standing tall. I never want you to give in, up, or out. Keep waving the flag of victory. And the last one, leaving the Watchtower. Please turn off the new light. We'll end it there. Stay with us. Stay on our Facebook and YouTube channels. More programming coming up tonight, including a brand new program. Oh, a brand new program. Gilbert Gonzalez and his brother Jesse. They're going to be on about 10:30, 11 o'clock. The Tale of Two Witnesses. That's the name of the program, debuting tonight for the very first time right here on our network. Thank you all. We'll see you in our next program.